Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. It's time for Owin's Field Report, sponsored by Les Schwab Tire Centers.
Now, this week for me was frustrating. Fished on Monday, fished on Friday. Days in between, basically just destroyed my garage, my shop, tried to organize that and determined that it's even worse now than it was before I started. That's going to be numerous days. Overall, though, between Monday and Friday, just very difficult fishing. On Monday, we had one opportunity on a plug, a 3.5 Dr. Death. Hey, when you're hearing more fish being hooked that way than throwing beads and any other thing, we just gave it a short period of time, and guess what? We actually hooked one, and then, of course, I lost it. Plugs. It just is what it is. Yesterday, though, very similar day. Conditions were perfect. Looking at the forecast, we'll cover some river levels in a minute. But looking at the forecast, the river was supposed to pop, and it just didn't do it. It seems like that was the same thing that happened today. It was forecasted to climb last night, and it just didn't do it. It seems like all the snow came down, and it just wasn't getting into the river. Good, bad. Looks like things might be changing a little bit now. But overall, a lot of time spent for 3 bites in 2 days, and the only fish that we got, we'll show you that photo a little bit, was my buddy actually did land one yesterday, like I was telling Bill prior to the show, on a bobber and jig, 1/8-ounce arrow jig. We haven't thrown one of those in a while, but it just goes to show, and we were sitting in the same spot for quite a while with a number of different baits, from eggs to beads to spoons to a number of different things, and no bites. Jig goes through, first pass. That fish had stared at a whole bunch of different baits before it decided to finally bite that. But we'll show you that photo in a little bit. I'm a little jealous. But at the very least, if I don't remember to show some of these photos, I'm going to get myself in trouble. Y'all know that Portland Marine is part of Outdoor GPS again. They were for several years prior to coming over here to KPDX. And part of that is Willie boats. Now, y'all know that I've already picked up a Willie drift boat. That was one of my dream boats to have forever. But lots of questions about the sled, when that's going to be here, supposedly a couple of weeks. And they were able to send me a couple of photos this week while we're still finalizing some of the little things. And that's going to be kind of the process of talking about this Willie jet sled, is the process of ordering it, you know, how you actually start, you know, understanding what it is that you do and don't want in a fully custom boat, because it can get very confusing. I've ordered this will be my 5th custom boat, and each time it's like, okay, what am I forgetting? What am I not including? You know, so there's a lot of things that kind of fall into it. But just a couple of quick photos just to give you an idea of where they're at now. And it's been several months to get to this point, to ultimately be a couple of weeks away. Pretty excited. And you can go, I went a little stealthy. That's the gunmetal gray with the black, and I went with the full bow wrap, which I've done on all of my custom boats. Super, super important, at least one of the features that I have to have, because sometimes you might run into stuff. It just happens. It's one of those things. But so far, looking beautiful. I can't wait to start talking a little bit more about it. It is a Raptor, but it's a very different Raptor because it's got a very special transom, and it's going to have a very special motor. More horsepower. I'll put it this way. You can't have too much horsepower in a dedicated jet boat. It's just that simple. I can't wait to start showing you more. But at the very least, that's where it's at now. And weeks going forward, we'll make sure to cover a little bit more of that like we always do. But now, let's take a quick look at the turbidity. Oh, never mind. I forgot. This is the fish that I was a little jealous of yesterday. I'm going to be honest. I've been very fortunate in my life to catch a lot of steelhead. But when you have a year where you're just praying for the one, you guys see that, Bill? That's the fish my buddy got yesterday. Dandy! I mean, oh, yeah, he does. He's got his little rainier sitting over there. But jigfish definitely didn't boggle our mind, but certainly threw us for a little bit of loop, and moose is kicking my butt this year. It's just that simple. Just absolutely getting it handed to me as it stands down. Turbidity on the Willamette. As you can see, it is on the way up, and that's going to coincide with what the river is doing. This past week, some of the reports I was getting from the Willamette were significantly better than the steelhead fishing that I was participating in. And it's very rare, it seems like, at least in the middle of March, to know of more springers getting caught than steelhead. That's not the way it's supposed to be. But it turns out that's kind of where we are right now. Willamette is a little ahead of the forecast that was, at least as of this morning. So it's a little bit ahead of that, but it is going to pop. So all those reports from this past week are, completely changing now. But when it does turn back over, let's just hope that those good, not great fishing, but certainly some decent reports of Chinook spread out the entire system of the Willamette from the channel all the way up. Very promising. Let's just hope it's a, I don't even want to jinx it. I'm not going to say nothing. Same thing with the Columbia. It is bouncing. That might still hold itself out based on that little bit of a rise if you're going to be out there trolling or sitting on the anchor the next handful of days, because that was somewhat productive as well. Seems like in the lower stretches, though, which makes pretty good sense. My home river, started to climb. It was definitely behind, and it missed the forecast pretty solid yesterday. Pretty solid miss on that forecast, but that's been pretty consistent. Then, of course, along the coast, this is just great stuff. Unfortunately, the reports from there have been very similar to inland. Very, very spotty fishing and just not great. But I will say this, though. Mr. Buzz Ramsey, he puts the time in, but he's been getting fish just about daily. Drift fishing, spin glows, and a little gob of eggs. We all overthink these things. Alcee completely blown, and it will be for a little while. In some of those southern rivers, that's one of the reasons why you see the Willamette exploding right now. Nehalem also on a big bounce. So overall, if you're like me and you're still chasing steelhead, probably the next 3 or 4 days might not be the best conditions, but it is what it is. You fish the opportunities that you get, and if those are the only days that you get to go, well, you go. Also, here's a good one. Whiskey Creek fin clipping. This is something that's been going on forever. And if you ever want to get your kids to do something fun that helps the fish populations, helps with just getting the knowledge into these young people, it's at the Whiskey Creek Volunteer Fish Hatchery. The kids get a chance to go and clip some of the smolts before they're ultimately put back into their rearing ponds, and then they will get kicked out into the river system. So very, very cool program. If you want to get your kids involved in that, take them over there. That is, I don't want to see the dates. Am I missing it? Oh, there it is, April 12th. So a little ways out there. Plan ahead, and it's really educational for the kids. We did a bit on this a few years ago on the day that they were actually doing this, the clipping, and the kids are just having a ton of fun, and they are learning a tremendous amount about salmon and steelhead and their life cycle, which is extremely important. These days. Hopefully they'll grow up wanting to protect them. Also, you want something free? Here's another giveaway for you. It's from Procure. Send Jason at procure.com an email once a week, and you might be lucky enough to win that salmon now, or at least slanted towards salmon fishing, springers in particular. And I hope that you do. There's a winner every Monday. Now, it's been a long time, but we actually have Andy Carson this morning for our weather. Andy, it's great to see you on a Saturday morning, man. How you doing?
It's great to be seen. I'm doing well. Look at the snow that they're picking up here. This is a ski bowl camera, and right at 9 o'clock is when I saw our first skiers and snowboarders up there. And you can see the lift is pretty busy right now. Last check, Timberline, they have a power outage there, and their ski lifts are not currently operating. But obviously they're operating right here at Ski Bowl. But if you're wanting to go to Timberline, you might want to check on that, but you can see that snow that's coming down. If you have travel plans up there, be aware that it's going to be a little bit tricky at times. 25 degrees up here at the camera, 30 degrees down at the base, 21 Timberline, 23 Meadows. You can see right there the junction, 35, 26, covered in snow. Camera's pretty much covered in snow at Government Camp. And then Santa Ana Pass also very covered with snow at 26 degrees. Just wet pavement and rhododendron where it's 36. Radar showing the snow showers going over the Cascades. That will be the case through the day as well as up into the Washington Cascades. We do have a winter storm warning in effect for the Oregon and Washington Cascades until tomorrow night at 11 o'clock. Notice the heavy rain right now pushing its way over towards the Portland Metro. That will be a very rainy time that we will experience here for the rest of the day and into tomorrow. So 10 to 18 inches of snow expected up at Mount Hood just today. Snow level about 2,500 feet. They will get above freezing briefly at Government Camp 36, staying at or below freezing Timberline and Meadows for their high temperatures. Here's the latest model indicating how much snow we're anticipating between now, take it into the entire day on Monday. 43 inches of additional snow up at the higher elevations of ski resorts. 35 inches at Government Camp. Santa Ana Pass, 47 inches. 37 inches at Diamond Lake and 44 at Crater Lake. So significant snow falling up there. For the metro area today, we will see occasional hit and miss showers before we see the steady rain, and then that will be with us through the afternoon to the evening. And then tomorrow, light showers, high 52, 52 with some more showers on St. Patrick's Day. Finally, a couple of dry days. Tuesday, Wednesday, highs mid-50s. Rain returns late Wednesday, and then back to rainy conditions Thursday, Friday, highs in the low 50s. So, Owen, I'm thinking if the fish aren't biting, maybe you try skiing and snowboarding for a day or two and see how that goes for you.
I don't know if my old hips and knees can handle that, man. I'd rather be walking the rivers, but that's a lot of snow. Is that the biggest amount of snow yet this season?
Yeah, definitely this year and perhaps this season. But, yeah, this is definitely one of our more significant snow storms up there in the Cascades.
God, let's hope that it holds on for a little while so our spring Chinook have plenty of water to work their way up, because I know you love to get out and chase those.
Oh, I do.
Andy, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thanks, Owen.
All right, let's go ahead and take Dennis from Kelso. He's got a report from the Cowlitz River, and luckily last week he had mentioned that there really wasn't anything going on. Now with the opener expected for Wednesday and Saturday up there, this will be very interesting information. Dennis, what are you seeing out there? Are the sea lions showing up?
Well, let me tell you something. My report isn't going to be any better than the guy you just had on. It's cold, it's wet, it's raining, the river's rising. I scared 3 ducks off the river, and a herd of, or a gaggle of geese went over. Other than that, there's nothing.
They're just not working their way up. Do you foresee things? You've been there for, listen, everyone, I've been doing this for 17 years. Dennis has been a contributor, especially this time of year, and in a number of different ways for a very long time. So he's been sharing information, especially for this smelt opportunities that you have many times. Do you foresee that by Wednesday that it could just change and all of a sudden they're in there?
It could be here probably tonight if they wanted to be, but as ugly as the river is and high and dirty, and I mean, I'm not sure. I talked to my brother about this last night. We were talking, and we've seen them come in January, February, March. They're just, for some reason, real late this year.
It's interesting. I haven't heard any reports if there's a bunch of birds or sea lions down in the main stem at all. I haven't heard anything about that, but we'll see how this opener goes on Wednesday if it actually comes to pass. But Dennis, as always, man, thank you. We appreciate you sharing some info. And if you have that chance on Saturday, if that opener actually happens, we'd love to hear what the zoo is like, okay? Thanks, Dennis. Let's talk to Mickey real quick. Mickey's got a shout out. This could go any number of ways, everyone. Mickey, what you got for everybody this morning?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to thank you for your good service.
Oh, well, I thank you. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you watching and following along. Hopefully it helps in some way. We appreciate that, Mickey. Have you learned anything yet this morning?
Well, they're getting a few steelhead here and there.
That was called a curveball, everyone. Threw Mickey a curveball right there. Mickey, thank you as always, sir. We appreciate you watching and your support for the show as always, like everyone that's out there watching. All right, let's cut to a break. When we come back, how we got Bill Herzog down here, and it seems like every time Bill comes down, he's got to come from north central Washington. It's some sort of nightmare road trip. And then based on what Andy just told us, did you bring your change?
I brought the helicopter.
He brought the helicopter. Let's hope that he doesn't actually need to use that. We'll be back with Bill Herzog in just a couple minutes, everyone. Don't go anywhere.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by P-Line, because we fish, by Hawken Fishing, perfection in fishing gear, and by Haxton's Canvas and Upholstery, the trusted name of the Pacific Northwest.